What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today I'm doing an updated deck profile for Toxtricity VMAX from Rebel Clash. If you watched my last deck profile for Toxtricity VMAX, you'll know I did it on a Japanese deck list that I found. And I was just talking about some of the new cards in the deck and some of the inclusions in that list. And I've looked at some other lists and found some more influence. I made my own list for Toxtricity VMAX now. In addition to the list from the original Toxtricity video I did, I also got inspiration from a list from Talonite X on Twitter. So that's at Talonite X if you want to check them out. They post a lot of Japanese lists, but they posted their own Toxtricity VMAX deck as well, and I got some inspiration for certain cards from that list that I saw as well. Shout out to PotownStore.com, my lovely sponsor. You can get PTCGO codes there for 5% off if you use code Celio. And also I started a Patreon at patreon.com/Celios Network. You can click on the link in the description below, and I'll make a video talking about that a little more. But if you are interested, at the $3 tier, you get access to articles I'll be writing, exclusive content, updates, stuff like that. And at the higher tier, you get one coaching session per month. So if you're interested in any of that, go check it out. All of the benefits are listed on the site. And let's get into this Toxtricity VMAX deck profile. So I'm not going to go over the main cards too in depth, since I've already made a Toxtricity VMAX deck profile, and a lot of you probably know what the cards do by now. I'm more going to talk about the list than the specific cards in this video. So we've got a 4-3 line of Toxtricity V Max. And I'll just tell you what the cards do real quick. Toxtricity V has the first attack Poison Jab. It does 20 damage and your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. And then Electric Riot, Lightning Colorless, 90 plus. If your opponent's active Pokemon is poisoned, this attack does 90 damage. So honestly, two pretty solid attacks for being the first stage. But it's not exactly why we're playing the line. We're playing it for the Toxtricity VMAX. And Toxtricity VMAX 320 HP, which is a nice chunk of health. And then it just has the one attack, G-Max Riot, Lightning Colorless. It does 160 plus if your opponent's active Pokemon is poisoned. This attack does 80 more damage, so it's 240 if they're poisoned, 250 after poison tick, and then of course you can use Electro Powers to buff that damage a bit. So this is going to be the list that I am playing versus Gyro Sean, another Pokemon TCG YouTuber. On his channel, we recorded some webcam matches, and I put up the Dragapult versus Milotic V on my channel, and he's putting up Toxtricity VMAX versus Copperaja VMAX on his channel. So definitely check that out if you're interested in Toxtricity, Copperaja, or any of the new decks in general, seeing some Rebel Clash gameplay. So this next card I have here is the 3-2 line of Garbodor. And Garbodor is pretty important to have because it applies the poison each turn. So its ability, Toxic Reservoir, once during your turn if there's a stadium in play, do make your opponent's active Pokemon poisoned. And it's pretty simple. Garbodor is just a very natural partner for Toxtricity VMAX. So 3-2 line so you can consistently get it out, hopefully. And then we also play a Koga's Trap that you'll see later, just in case you can't apply the poison with Garbodor. So then we've got 2 Dedenne GX for drawing. It's very good. We want to put Lightning Energy in the discard pile for Coco Prism. Sometimes for Zeraora GX to use its GX attack to put 5 energy on to your Pokemon. Now, of course, Dedenne is a little awkward to play sometimes when you're using a Stage 1 deck with the Toxtricity VMAX and the Garbodor, because there's some cards you don't want to discard, but there are enough copies of each card that, aside from Garbodor, you're usually comfortable discarding a lot of the cards in the deck. And then the other Lightning Pokemon we have here is the Boltund V, 200 HP basic Lightning Pokemon V. It has the first attack Electrify, search your deck for 2 Lightning Energy, and attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. And then Lightning Storm, Lightning Colorless, it does 30 more damage times the amount of lightning energy attached to your Pokemon. And I show off this card pretty well in the games with Gyro Sean, which will be up on his channel tomorrow, I believe. So definitely you're going to want to go check that out if you're interested in seeing some of these cards in action. And then onto we also have the Cocoa Prism, which is pretty much a staple in Lightning decks because of the Dance of the Ancients. It accelerates your energy, and Fion to make our opponents switch out the Pokemon. If they put something up there we don't want to hit, there's other things on the bench that would make it awkward for them to send up. That's good for us. So it's all built around Toxtricity VMAX and making that do as much damage as we can. But then the Zeraora is a nice support to give us free retreat, and it can also use its GX attack to power up our board. Same with Boltund, it's very good to power up our board and be a nice 2-prize attacker. So for supporters, we've got 4 Professor's Research, which is honestly pretty standard across many archetypes. And like I said, there are cards you don't want to discard, like the Toxtricity VMAXs and the Garbodors, that you can't always put down right away, but you play enough of them that it's usually not too much of a problem to play the Professor's Research or the Dedenes. Then we've got 2 Boss's Order, or Boss's Command as it's translated here. It's just switch your opponent's active with one of their bench Pokemon, so it's just a classic Gust effect like Lysander. And then we've also got 2 Marnie. We shuffle, draw. We shuffle, put the cards at the bottom. We draw 4. Our opponent does the same, and they draw. I'm sorry, we draw 5, and our opponent draws 4. So it's a little bit of a disruption for our opponent, and we also get to draw some cards. And then Koga's Trap, your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused and poisoned, so it's a way to apply poison if we can't get our Garbodor working. As for Pokemon Search, we've got 4 Quick Ball, and we've got 3 Pokemon Communication. I believe the older list had less Pokemon Communication, and I definitely like having 3 Pokemon Communication. It's awkward playing a Lightning deck and not playing Electromagnetic Radar and not playing Cherish Ball. But there's only 3 targets for the Cherish Ball and the Electromagnetic Radar, and none of them are our main Pokemon, which is Toxtricity V, Toxtricity VMAX. And then I'd argue Garbodor is pretty important as well. So Quick Ball can get the basics of all of those. It can search out everything in our deck other than Toxtricity VMAX and Garbodor. And then Pokemon Communication can just get anything. And we have 4 Electropower to buff our damage by 30 for each Electropower we're able to play down. So that's very nice. It can buff any of our attacks. It can actually make Boltund's second attack do some nice damage early on. And it can help our Toxtricity VMAX reach the potential to one-shot other VMAX Pokemon. And then we've got 3 Acrobike for some added draw support. We have 2 Switch to easily switch out our Pokemon just in case Zeraora is prized. It's been knocked out. We can't get that down, but we draw into a Switch. Maybe we needed the bench spot to play down a second Dedenne. The switches are there as kind of a safety net for getting around and using what you need. And also it's very nice on turn 1 if you want to switch into a Zeraora to use that GX attack, if you want to switch into a Boltund to use his first attack to search your deck for and accelerate energy. So that's why the switches are there, but I do think they are kind of cuttable maybe. It depends on how safe you feel with just one Zeraora. And then we've got a reset stamp and a stadium nav for our other items. Reset stamp is just another nice disruption aside from Marnie. And then stadium nav can get us a Thunder Mountain, which is very important. You can't play 2 Thunder Mountain, so you play a Stadium Nav as hopefully an out to it. 75% of the time you'll get at least 1 heads. And then of course for the stadiums we do have Thunder Mountain, we have Lysander Labs, and we have the new Galar Mine. And the new Galar Mine, if I could bring that up, it just makes both players' active Pokemon have 2 more retreat cost. And since we're playing 2 Switch and Zeraora, a lot of times we're not going to be worried about retreat cost, and Toxtricity VMAX is pretty tanky at 320 HP, so it's not going to be getting one shot all that often, so we'll be using the same Pokemon multiple turns in a row. So I rather like Galar Mine. It could definitely mess up our opponent if they want to use Jirachi, but their skateboard isn't enough to make it cost free to retreat. And just, we need to have a stadium in play in general. We don't care if it's ours or our opponent's, because of Garbodor's ability that we need to poison. It needs a stadium in play, so um, just playing two kind of utility stadiums like Lysander Labs and Galar Mine that do different unique things, I think is pretty cool to have in here. If you weren't playing the Zera Ore, I guess Power Plant could be cool as well. You could really do anything, but I think I saw the Galar Mine in Talonite X's list, and that was one of the things that I was inspired by that list to try out. And then, of course, we've got uh, 8 basic lightning energy, because this is a lightning deck, and we need those energies to accelerate with Coco, Prism, Bolt, Tons, or Aura to get onto our Toxtricity, which has a 3 attack cost. And then 4 of the new Speed Lightning Energy, which is actually just an insane card. It's a special energy. While it's attached to a Pokemon, it provides lightning, and when you attach this card to one of your lightning Pokemon, draw 2 cards. And those, just getting to draw 2 cards for your attachment for turn is just pretty nutty. We talk about it a bit in the gameplay on Gyro Sean's channel, and I ended up falling in love with the 4 speed lightning over the course of the games we played. Toxtricity versus Caparaja. Drawing the extra cards for attaching energy is really, really good. So thoughts on this deck overall, since I have played games with it now. The Bolt Ton's really cool. I'm not sure if I'd add a second, but games where you get to start with it and go second, or switch into it and go second. The first attack's really nice to have. Even if you are forced to like play down a Thunder Mountain early, like I think I was in one of the games because of like a researcher at Adene, you can attack with Bolton early to get an early knockout on something like a Jirachi or whatever they started with, or whatever they retreated into, like Absol or Guru or something little like that. You can get a free knockout early on with Bolton, since for 1 energy from Thunder Mountain, and then you maybe Coco Prism a couple to the bench. You've got a decent amount of damage racking up from that, and you can get a prize with that. So you go to 5 prizes, then knock out a 3 prize, or knock out a 2 prizer, and it's over. That's definitely a lot better if your opponent doesn't end up bumping the Thunder Mountain, though. You definitely don't want to play Thunder Mountain down on turn 1, but that's just a scenario where if you do, it could work out okay for you. But you definitely want to try to use the Boltun's first attack, or Zera Aura's GX attack early on, and just power up 2 Toxtricity. So the Toxtricities are doing 250 after the Poison Tick, which is enough to knock out a Zacian even with a Metal Frying Pan, and Zacian's a very important Pokemon. With 1 Electro Power, you knock out ADP, of course, another very important Pokemon. And you get into the range of trying to knock out other VMAX Pokemon with 320 HP, and you definitely need a little bit more to get there. So I like that the VMAX Pokemon aren't necessarily comfortably one-shotting each other. I think that's good for the game. But Toxtricity VMAX can actually be very aggressive, getting the VMAX attack off turn 2, and then it keeps hitting from there. So I like it more than I thought I did. It's pretty aggressive. For a lightning deck, I would say it felt like I was playing Pikarom at some points just because of all the similarities, but of course there's definitely differences because you have to take a turn off to accelerate energy sometimes with Zera or Bolton, whereas Pikarom can attack and accelerate energy. I guess the question there would be, do I want a Pikarom in the deck, so I could attack for 150 or maybe even more with Electro Power and accelerate energy? I think that would be cool to explore. But it's a 3 prize Pokemon at 240 HP, whereas Toxtricity VMAX is a 320 HP 3 prize Pokemon. So that would definitely be something to consider if I wanted to try adding Pika into the deck. I do think Pika is a cool inclusion, which I am going to try in the future, though. I liked having the extra Pokemon communication. I definitely liked having this and Acrobike. It felt like it made the deck more speedy and more fluid. So I like having the extra item cards that can allow me to do more actions, especially with playing the speed lightning energy that lets me see extra cards a turn. The deck just felt very fast and aggressive and fluid for a stage 1 focused deck, which surprised me in testing so far. So I'm really comfortable with this list. I think it's very solid moving forward. Of course, shout out to the list that I talked about in the last video and Talonite X, where I got some influence for changes that I made. Like I said, my sponsor ProtonStore.com. If you need PTCGO codes, definitely the place to go get them. And we're also streaming the Streamer Showdown, which is a special tournament between myself and 7 other great players on Saturday, March 28th at 9 a.m. EST. So check that out. I'll be streaming it, and so will some other creators like OmniPoke and Tablemon that are in the event. And like I said, I started a patreon.com. Link to that's in the description. So I'll talk about that more in a future video, but if you're interested in supporting the channel and my content or getting some benefits both at the same time, I would check out that link. And that's all I have for you today. Of course, go check out Gyroshawn's channel. I'll leave that link in the description below so you can watch the game between my TOXTRICITY VMAX and his Copper Raja VMAX. I'm done talking for now. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.